Welcome back to Ozarks Fox AM. Here to tell us about signs from God, Juliana with the Intrigue Journal. I just wanted to be dramatic.
You were very dramatic.
It's good.
Is that dramatic?
Where am I going with this? Well,
I
it's
don't know.
compelling, right?
Yes.
Okay, so of course I'm talking about celestial signs. So
Okay.
what is the one star that we're all very familiar with? The one that guided the wise men who were astronomers?
The northern
astronomers,
star.
Is it
right?
North
The
Star?
Northern Star.
North Star?
Star of Bethlehem.
Bethlehem.
Hey, oh, yes! Oh!
But you're thinking literal, which is
Yeah.
kind of where
Right.
I'm going with this.
Okay.
So was the Star of Bethlehem, was it a real star? Was it metaphor? Was it part of a story? Can we see it in the sky today? We're going to get back to that.
Okay.
First I want to talk about the zodiac.
Okay.
All right? So you've heard of the zodiac sign. What's your sign?
I'm a Pisces.
You know that?
You're
And
a Pisces?
Yes.
I'm a Pisces.
We've talked about
Everyone's
this,
a
remember?
Pisces.
Because our birthdays are so close.
Yes.
She doesn't
Okay, so
remember.
as Pisces, you might have been told that you're artistic, you're intuitive, you're gentle,
Yes.
all characteristics of the Pisces. What if I told you the zodiac was never meant to be about us? It was meant to be for us, as sort of a picture in the sky painted by God to tell the story of Jesus' life.
Oh, I love
In the
that.
sky so that everybody could see it anywhere at any time.
I got the goosebumps.
This
all
is-
over.
Yeah, that's good stuff
This
right
is
there.
exactly what best-selling author, we have a slide of this, best-selling author Joe Aramal. He is an author, a producer. He wrote the book Story in the Stars. Here
Okay,
we
there
go.
he is, yes.
Okay.
You guys, this was a compelling book. He's also an international speaker and such a good researcher. Story in the Stars was such a great book. I reached out. I had the privilege to speak with Joe a couple weeks ago, and he tells me this whole concept began with a dream about a woman and a dragon.
Okay, next slide.
It was a dream, and here we go.
The woman and the dragon.
A very strange dream. So he wakes up, what's this all about? And he correlates it to the book of Revelation, which also talks about a dragon and a woman who is clothed with the sun and has the moon at her feet, and he thinks this sounds like the constellations. So he begins to examine, beginning with Virgo, which has the Latin derivative meaning virgin.
Okay.
She is holding a branch, which Joe points out, a branch is referred to in the Bible as Jesus. So he sees this story coming through, evolving. And he examines every zodiac and sees a story in it. And he goes beyond that to all the constellations surrounding the zodiac, to the moon and the sun. And he works with software, astrology software, so he can go back in time to see the night sky. So he goes back to Bethlehem.
Okay.
And he has this to say about the dream and the software. We've got a video to play.
Oh, a video. Let's
Hang on
see.
a second. Is God showing John a picture of the night sky on the night of the Savior's birth? And so if we can figure out when that took place, and we can find out when the dragon was in the sky, Draco, the constellation, a date emerges. And the more I studied and researched, the more convinced I became of the date. And I pitched it to different theologians, and I gave them all my data, and they're like, Joe, this matches what we know historically about the birth. And so I'm like, it's so like God to take creation, and what does he do? The Bible says that he creates all the stars of the heavens and he names them all. But more than that, the Bible says that he puts them in place. So he arranges them in a certain way in the sky so that they make images, they make pictures, because pictures are worth 1,000 words. I've had the privilege of going into caves that are thousands of years old, and we barely find writing, but we always find pictures.
He has been to Israel 42 times. He did a TV show there for 10 years, I think 5 seasons. But so isn't that true though? We've communicated in pictures since the ancient times.
Yes.
And did you catch that? That he talked about pinpointing dates?
Yes.
Date of death, the birth date
Yes, I wonder
of
about
Jesus.
that.
Now, it wasn't December 25th.
No.
No. And I'm not going to, do you have an idea what it is? I'm not going to tell you.
I thought it was actually in the summertime.
Okay, no.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you though. Guys, I want you to read the book, but it's
Okay.
compelling.
I'm
It'll
intrigued
raise
now.
some
Yeah,
eyebrows.
it is. And it's okay. Whenever he was born, he's still Jesus. A lot of people are hung up on the 25th. It doesn't matter when he was
Exactly.
born.
It's just the day we choose to
Yeah,
celebrate.
But
It's the day we
it is
celebrate.
fun to maybe know.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, of course.
But his journey was so amazing because Joe's I'm talking about because this was difficult for him because the zodiac, is this the right path to go down? You know.
Right.
But he began to find evidence of the zodiac in the ancient church, like this one.
Oh, wow.
This is
Beautiful.
Bet Alpha. This is in Israel. It's from 500 AD. And so there's this gigantic, massive mosaic in the floor of the zodiac. He also finds it in a synagogue close to his home in Toronto, in the stained glass windows.
Oh,
the
beautiful.
zodiac. And so he begins to recognize that all 48 constellations are documented by every major civilization, right?
Wow.
And let's just slip to the next one.
Next slide? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
There he is.
So he's wondering, how is that? Who defined the constellations?
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
chose
yeah.
the stars? Who named them? So he does more research. He finds this is the oldest source he can find that talks about the origins of astronomy. And this is Flavius Josephus. And he actually references Seth, who is known to be the third son of Adam and Eve. And here, can you read this here?
Yes.
Okay. They were also...
They also were the inventors of that peculiar sort of wisdom which is concerned with the heavenly bodies and their order.
That's right. So isn't that
Interesting,
amazing that,
yeah.
that the constellations might have been named 6,000 years ago?
Yeah, it
And
really is.
Joe points out in the book of Job that it actually talks specifically about the Pleiades
Oh.
and Orion's belt.
Isn't that amazing?
Before we run out of time, I want to get to the reveal.
Okay.
The
Okay.
Star of Bethlehem, exactly. What was that? In Joe's own words, we're just going to roll the next video and
Next video, okay.
dive right into that.
Jesus' birth, a conjunction took place in the sky. That's when two large celestial objects come so close to each other that from our perspective, it looks like one major star. The two objects that combined were the star Regulus, whose name means Little King, and the planet Jupiter, which is also known as the King Planet. Now it gets even better. So here we have a kingly star, and now we have a kingly planet, and it all happens in the constellation of Leo, the constellation of the king. Now, because of the Earth's orbit, there was also what's called a retrograde motion, a circling movement that made the star appear to hover over the town of Bethlehem. So think about it. This conjunction is even more of a rare event. When we combine the conjunction of the kingly stars with the sun passing through Virgo and the moon at her feet, there's only one time in history that all of the events coincided. On the Jewish calendar, the date was the 1st of Tishri, 3 BC, which is the night the Feast of Trumpets was celebrated.
Isn't it amazing?
I want to know the date now!
I know, it's so amazing. Well, how do they see all of those constellations? You know, I can look up, I can't even tell, is it a peacock, is it a flamingo? You
I
can't
know.
see what it is.
Yeah,
amazing.
because that's what I say. Like when I look at like even that big dragon, I was like, okay, how did they make that look like a lion or a tiger or a dragon or a flamingo or a penguin or a rabbit? You know,
And
like
how
it's
did-
just like
In every
that.
civilization.
Yeah.
There had to be some oral tradition passed down, right?
I love this. This is amazing.
This gives me
Isn't it?
goosebumps,
It really
though.
does, and it makes
The
me...
book is so great. Check out the book, seriously.
I wanna read
Story
that.
in the Stars. He also has a documentary, which is very visual, but it has less than the book does.
And
Thank you.
Kelly and I love it too because it also confirms our faith.
It does.
Science.
I got
love it.
weepy-eyed on
Yes.
that. Thank you,
All right,
Julia.
thanks, Julia.
We appreciate